So now we want to add the probabilities to our tree diagram. And we know we have 5 green counters and we have 3 red counters in the bag. So in total, we have 8 counters in the bag. So whatever we pick out is going to be picked out of the 8 counters. So the probability that we pick out a red counter from the bag, well, we have 3 red in the bag out of 8 counters. So that will be 3 out of 8. And the probability that we pick a green out of the 8 counters, well, there are 5 green counters, so that would be 5 out of 8. Now, before you complete the rest of the tree diagram, and before it gets too complicated in more complex questions, these branches should always add up to 1. So you can check as you go along that you've worked these probabilities out right. So does 3/8 add 5/8 equal 1? Yes, it does. So we know we've got it right. Now, the first counter that we pick is replaced in the bag. So we still have 8 counters in the bag. So the probability of picking out a red counter is 3 out of 8 still. And the probability of picking a green counter is still 5 out of 8 because we still have 5 green counters in a bag of 8 counters. And it's the same for the next branch because all we're looking at is picking out the second counter. So in some respects you could ignore this first branch and you just fill out the second branch. So again, that's going to be 3 out of 8 and that's going to be 5 out of 8 because these are 2 different options, 2 different ways we could have picked out the counters. So the first option is we pick the red counter first and then we pick either a red or a green. And the second option is that we pick a green counter first, then we pick a red or a green counter. So now we have our probabilities along the branches on our tree, and we can use them then to work out the probabilities of different scenarios. For example, what is the probability we pick a green counter and a green counter? So we will come to that a little bit later. But have a thought, what do you think would happen to these probabilities here if we hadn't replaced the original counter to begin with? If we had taken out the first counter, saw that it was red or green, and we didn't put it back into the bag, how do you think these probabilities might be affected?